Oh, has he? Are we on yet? No, no. Thank you. Well, colleagues, thank you to this. Welcome to this March meeting of Colne Town Council. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, I've got apologies from Councillor Cornish, Councillor David Coburn Price, Councillor Wildman and Councillor Chung.
We're happy to.
Right.
Councillor Bosworth. Are we happy to accept those apologies? Yes, good.
Right, I will just say we're just trialing something different with the microphones tonight. So usually when I speak, it normally knocks someone else off. So we've got it now so that we can have 4 mics on at the same time. However, you do need to remember to turn your mic off when you finish speaking. So just
thank you, Gina. Item 3 is declaration of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? Anything on the agenda today? No? Okay. We'll move on to item 4, which is minutes of the meeting. To approve as a correct record the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 21st of February. Are members happy to approve, or are there any amendments or comments?
Just tiny. I wasn't here, so it's not about the meaning of it in any way. Page 3, last sentence of Colne Gala. There's an apostrophe that shouldn't be there, and then bottom of page 3, penultimate line of the penultimate paragraph. Put that apostrophe in St John's.
Right.
okay.
Small.
Are we happy to accept those alterations? Yeah. Can I then ask now, can we approve these, members? Yeah. Oh, right. Can I have a proposer then?
Just
a seconder, please. Thank you. So are these approved as seen now? Okay, thank you. Item 5 is public forum. We don't seem to have any public here to speak.
No.
No. Right. Item 6 is finances. To receive a schedule of payments from the 15th of February to the 14th of March 2023 for approval by myself. Any comments, amendments?
Can't amend.
No? Yes.
I noticed this time we didn't get the over whatever it should be.
I thought I sent them to email, did I? They're in the
well, it wasn't on the second lot. Well, but right. Well, they're the printed off ones that you. I'll move them anyway.
Right. Can we have a seconder, please? Yes, thank you, Kevin. All those in favour, can you please show? Thank you. You can, Councillor Coburn-Price.
This is just from David. He just asks, so this isn't in any way affecting the vote. On this page, the items over £1,000, he just asks a question. Might it be better for the £6,000 from Holker Network Solutions to pay it as a monthly direct debit and spread the cost?
It was actually more expensive to do it that way.
Fine. Shan't do that then.
Okay. So the next item is to receive a summary budget, expenditure and commitment as at the 14th of March. Any issues on the budget itself? No? Can I have a proposer then to accept them? Howard, thank you. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Glenda. All those in favour to accept the budget for this month? Thank you. Item 7 is Colne Town Council risk registers. To consider the council's updated risk registers as recommended by the Finance, Employment and Services Committee. So has everyone, anybody got any comments, issues?
These have actually been to FES
Yes.
the last time, and some amendments were suggested which have been done in these
Right.
versions.
Sarah, you put your hand up.
I did. I'm trying to see. I think it's page 5, bottom, nothing to do with the meaning of it or the risk or anything. It's just an adverb in the section that says checkbooks and online banking. If you go in the purple box in the middle, bank account.
Oh, sorry, is this 5 of 10?
Oh,
or
sorry.
5 of 7. There's two different ones. So there's a finance one and
This is
it 5 of 10?
the risk, the financial risk register.
Right, okay. Yeah. Like that.
Purple box, bottom,
Uh-huh.
and bank account viewed at least weekly, if not more frequently. And the accounts are reconciled regularly. That's it.
Are we happy to accept those? Yep. Okay. Right. So apart from that, are we happy? Are we all in favour of these updated risk registers? Yeah, can I have a show of hands then? Thank you.
We've got a second.
Oh yeah, we got a seconder then. Did anybody second it? Do we need to second it?
I'll second it.
Yeah. Right, item 8 is Town Council small grants policy. To consider the presented policy for approval as recommended by the FES committee. Sarah.
I'm sorry for me to sound so finicky. It's just the addition of one word again. I'd left it actually in the house because I was reading it in the kitchen. So it's at the beginning where we talk about where our money comes from in the first page of text. And it suggests that all of our money comes primarily as precept. So I just thought that to be accurate, we should add the word primarily. And then that way it's clear, because not all of our money comes from precept, does it?
Okay.
Where else has it come from then?
Well, we do have events income, stalls income, hire, room hire.
Yeah, but that is that runs in an account for that event, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's still obviously income in our income and expenditure.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Are we happy then? So can someone propose these there? Can someone second this policy? Yes, Kevin, thank you. All those in favour?
Sorry, I missed that. Who proposed? Who seconded?
Sarah proposed and Kevin seconded. Item 9 is internal controls document, and to consider the presented document for approval. Again, any comments? Anyone has watched all these wonderful documents? Sarah, yes.
I'm so sorry. It's continually me. I don't mean it to be. 8.3. If we look there, it's on page 8. I just wonder whether we should big ourselves up a bit here and say that we not only outsource things, which we do, but we also have Lensmen who deliver maintenance in the town.
Let me find.
Also, on page 10, if you look towards the bottom, where there's from corporate risk register down to insurance cover, all of those between corporate risk register and insurance cover are via the FES, so should all have that in brackets in that column. David asked a question as well. At the top of that page, internal controls document, it says it's in March and he thinks it's in May. But I don't know. And final page again, sorry, 11. David asked another question. where it says regular returns to HMRC for VAT and payroll. David asks, when was the last HMRC audit? It's usually every 5 years or so.
I haven't known one since I've been here, so
So you do one.
probably due one. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So are we happy to accept those comments? Yes? Right, so can I ask for a proposal then? Is that the internal controls document? Thank you, Howard. Can I have a seconder, please? Jonathan, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 10, insurance review. To consider the insurance renewal documents presented. Again, is there any issues?
Yes, unfortunately, we were waiting on revaluations for insurance purposes of all our properties, which weren't done until late in the day. So I managed to get the renewal from our existing insurer. However, I tried with another insurer. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough time to provide us with a quote. We've been, from the revaluations that we did do, it appeared that we were considerably underinsured. So obviously that's made quite a difference to the renewal. We have been given 2 options from our existing insurer. There's a 1-year option and a 3-year option. The 3-year option, the 1-year option has come out at £16,475.42. And the 3-year option is £14,978.03. As well as the revaluations, they obviously added to the premium. There was also additional equipment for the lensman that we've put on the insurance, along with a few other things that also sort of brought that up. It is over what we budgeted for. I actually budgeted around 12,500 for the insurance. Our account manager did say that not all councils insure play area surfacing. And again, not all councils insure benches either. So whether we wanted to consider if a bench was damaged, would we claim? Or would we just get the lensman to fix it?
Howard, have you got any comments?
Yeah, sorry, 14,000.
No,
Nearly 15,000.
900 and something.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Can I, and who's that with?
That's with our existing insurer, so that's Zurich.
Another question then, how much is a new bench? I can't remember from the last ones we got.
Sorry, what was the
How
question?
much is a new bench?
It depends what kind of bench you get. If we're getting plastic benches, then they're around £350.
So if we said 500 quid or 400 for a few plastic ones and a fancier one somewhere else.
Probably fancy ones would probably be more kind of up to your 1,000 mark, I would have thought.
Presumably there's an excess.
There is an excess.
Do we know what it is?
It's £200.
So it's hardly worth bothering if we're replacing them with plastic,
Well, this
with
is
the normal type bench that we now put in, either a brown one or a black one, depending on where it is.
yeah. And this is what was suggested. I have been told that if we took the play area surfacing and the benches out, that the 3-year premium would reduce by £565.
Hmm.
And
Ah.
the 1 year would reduce by £628.
It's,
But it's just when I went through the forms for the other insurer, they did specifically ask if play area surfacing was in the insurance and separated out. So that to me would suggest that maybe we should have it in there.
I would be loath to take that out because, I mean, I'm pretty sure now that all the play areas have this, don't know what you call it, rebound stuff or the soft. So if you fall on it, you don't bounce, but you don't crack your skull like you would on a concrete one or a.
I mean, we did have the bounce matting, but in the last redevelopment, a lot of it was the felt stuff was put over the top
With sand.
with the sand and and grass matting as well in other places.
Right, I've got David and then Alice. David.
Thank you, Chairman. I think for 560 quid, I think it could be a no-brainer and stupid to take the safety servicing out and take the benches out. I think you've only to get one surface damaged over the year and one bench nicked, and you're running at a loss. Regarding the 1 year and the 3 year, let me make sure I've got my head around these figures right. You said 16,000 and 14,000, yeah. So
Well,
if you
16 and a half and 15.
if you're actually going to save a lot more, I think, than what meets the eye on the 3 year one, because not only do you save £2,000 a year, on the second and third year, you also save whatever the insurance might have gone up with inflation as well. So you're looking at saving at least £6,000 plus whatever it's gone up. And at 14 or 16 grand, it could have gone up by £1,000 a year quite easily. So compounding that, I reckon you're saving 8 or 9 grand
I will
over
just
the 3 years.
say though, they do index link, which would go up anyway. But the main underlying rates stay the same.
But you haven't got any comparisons from another provider yet.
No, what it was suggested is that obviously if we went for the 1 year option, then they could do a full review and maybe would be able to provide us with a quote. But then again, if it's not competitive, then you've kind of wasted your money there, haven't you? So
Another question, Chairman. Have we got time to wait before renewal date to wait and get a second quote?
no, the renewal date's the 1st of April. It didn't help that the reevaluations were done.
So what we're
late.
saying is basically we haven't got time to get a second quote.
No.
I'm loath to go with it at 16 grand for first year and then say, well, we'll review it next year. I think we're paying £2,000 more on year one than we need to do.
I read the financial regulations and it said that the 15,000 was the thing that was the trigger that needed to be passed by full council. Would it be possible for us here to give delegated authority as a council to the chairman of FES and perhaps, I don't know, 3 people just to be on the safe side, the chairman and the clerk or something like that? Because obviously we trust you, but we want you to get the best deal with all the circumstances.
Alice.
Well, I was just going to say, as David, I don't think we shouldn't have insurance for playground surfaces. it's vital that they are insured, because we have had in the past quite a lot of damage. I know we've got new and different services, but I think it is one of the priorities that we should really
Thank you.
think about.
Have you got any comments on what Sarah said, David?
It depends what we're going to delegate. I don't see how we can get a second price quick enough now.
I can't, I've been told that I can't,
Yeah,
we can't provide it.
but the question is, do we go for a 1 year and pay extra, or do we bite the bullet and go for 3 years?
Is it 3 years at 14,000?
No,
Or-
the first year is at the 14,000.
Yeah,
And then certain things will be index linked.
right.
Um, and we'll go up, it's usually by 3%.
But if you're saving £2,000 on the first year, if it's index linked, the 16 would have gone up on
That
the
would have
second
gone
year
up
anyway.
as
So
well,
you're still
yes.
saving £2,000 on each of years, and to save £6,000, I think it's.
Dorothy?
Thank you, Chair. Is there a reason why we're at the stage where we haven't got time to get another quote?
It
I
was,
might have missed this.
we were waiting for the property revaluations.
Ah, right, yeah.
So what we're going to
Thank
do?
you.
Have you got a proposal?
Chair, I think, was that your proposal, Sarah, that 3 get together? Yeah, well, I would second that, yeah.
You want to delegate it to Gina and me and David?
The only decision we need to make is whether we just pay extra and go for 1 year. And then hope that the other insurance company can provide a more competitive quote, or we go for the 3 year, saving the options. I will say that insurance underlying rates, they are going up.
So are you saying yes, Pat?
I was just going to say that,
Sorry,
you know.
yeah.
Can we
who's
not
for
decide here and
the
now
1 and who's
between
for the
us
3?
to go
we
for
can.
1 or
Of course we
3?
can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So who wants to go 3? You do, I do.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3.
right. So will somebody propose?
What I'm not sure of, Chairman, is you asked me to comment on what Sarah said. What I'm not sure of is what we can delegate, because with a choice of going for 1 year or 3, we know that. It would be nice if we could get 2 quotes and choose between the 2 quotes. But if we're categorically told that there isn't time to get another quote, I don't see what we can delegate, to be honest. That's just my feeling.
So Gina, who told you that we couldn't get a quote, that it was too late? Was this as other?
It was the other insurance.
Oh,
I
right.
sent all the information to them and they said that when's your meeting, sorry, we can't do it.
but isn't that what they would say? Yeah, he
No,
would
if they
say
want your
that,
business.
you know, just as he's going to be hung.
That should tell us something, that they're probably not going to come in under the quote
Under the
we've
quote
already
we've
got. I think we bite the bullet and go for, and I'll move that we go for the 3 years. I'm not sure I think looking at the figures, it's actually about 500 quid or so a year, or give or take, that we save, maybe a bit more. But over the 3 years, you know, it's worth having, because even if they go up 1% of 16 is more than 1% of nearly 15. So that way we will save over the long term, and we're doing, you know, it's one order, one set of paperwork, and a renewal every year at whatever. And any changes that we get in between, which we would have whoever we went
Yeah.
with.
Yes, Sarah.
I only suggested it because I thought we could get a second quote. Is it worthwhile ringing Covershaw in the morning? They did very, very fast quote for us when we took over the SEAG building on Byron Road. You never know, or did you try that?
There's only certain insurance companies that do councils and government authorities. Covershaw don't, no, not for government.
Okay, then, well, we've had one proposal. Is anybody going to second that or
And
happy to?
can I just add something?
Yes, yeah.
If we, obviously, the prices of these premiums are more than what is in the budget. So if we're going for the 3-year option, it basically leaves, there's a deficit of, it's £2,484.39. So this is just where you would like to take that money from to put in the budget.
Sarah?
I spotted that we were a tiny bit underspent on the town hall, spending on the town hall maintenance. And so therefore, in a way, it's protecting the town hall. It's all part of the same continuum.
We're not actually underspent on the town hall maintenance. Because at the beginning of the year, we were thinking we were going to get a loan to do the roof. An element was put into repairs and maintenance the income was put in and the corresponding expenditure was also put in. So it was overinflated for the year. If we take that element out, because we didn't get the loan, we have in fact slightly overspent. So,
Chairman, as regards where to take it from, if I'm hearing things right, the renewal is on the 1st of April, which is not in this financial year. So whether we had an underspend or not wouldn't affect it. It's next year's budget. And we will find somewhere within next year's budget to take the £2,000 from.
yeah, I'm just saying what is budgeted next year for insurance.
Yes,
is
well, we'll have
not
to take 2,000 from somewhere else.
Yes.
But with a whole year to sort it out and take it from somewhere, and I'm sure there'll be an underspend somewhere. But it is next year's budget, not
Yes.
this year's budget.
Okay. So. Where are we? Oh, we had a proposal for a 3-year. And
Taking the 3-year.
do we have a seconder? Yeah. Either Kevin or Jonathan. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, item 11, to receive an update from the town clerk on the progress of the project concerning the SPIDs. Gina?
Right, yes, we have, it went to the last FES meeting and it was asked if maybe there was some additional funding for an extra SPID. So meaning that we would get 3 instead of 2. This was agreed, I think, in principle. And I managed to get a pro forma invoice for that, and I've sent that to Councillor Coburn-Price, who said we agreed an element of funding which he was going to try and push through as soon as possible. Now we haven't received anything yet, so I will chase David on that, unless you know any more.
We've written some maths here. 3 SPIDs at £8,892, 1 computer license at £279.99, Altham sessions at £300, a random £70, don't know what that is.
That's for the license.
Okay, and the total is £9,541.99.
Yes.
And he says the council has placed an order and the parishes are okay for charges.
Okay,
Okay.
anybody any
So am I
comments?
thinking from that we need to go ahead with the purchase and then get the money back? Yes. Right. Okay.
Is everybody okay with that? Good.
I have had some news from the speed management team at Lancashire County Council. They have said that the existing backplates the columns will not need to be retested. However, what they will do is just like a desktop analysis, just to make sure that nothing with the surroundings has changed that makes it not viable. But they said that we can use them without retesting the columns. So it was suggested that maybe we pick 2 locations to have to trial. We were going to ask Altham Parish Council initially to do 2 trials with us. But in the meantime, whilst we're waiting for our spids to arrive. So that was the plan.
Yes, Alice.
How are we going to decide where they are initially trialled? I mean, I would love them to be on Shore Street.
Oh, you would.
But of course, there'll be other places where people would love them.
There isn't, there's only one.
There's only one on
There's
Shore
only one
Street.
plate on Shore Street. Maybe that's what the 70 quid was to get.
No, it's for you need to pay £70 for the actual license
Oh, right.
to actually put something on a lighting column. But
Right.
it does last, it's for all the lighting columns, and it lasts for 3 years. So it's renewed every 3 years.
I just had a memory that the county charged 35 quid or something for testing them. Or is that?
That 39, I think it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, right.
they said that, but they
But
have
they're not
actually
No, I'm
confirmed.
just, sorry, cross purpose is the 70 quid that I thought was 2 checks. Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with it.
Yes, Alice.
Can I ask where the plates are? Have we got a location map or?
They did go to the last
Can I
FES.
suggest that list be sent out to everybody so they know where they are?
Yeah.
And LC is lighting column, whatever number it was.
I don't know. Should be in there somewhere.
Chairman, while Gina's looking for that, can I just try and clarify something up with the speed that is currently and has been there for years on Birtwistle Avenue, because questions were asked about that at the last meeting and at FES. I've been up and checked. The speed is still on Birtwistle Avenue. It's been there 5 years without having been taken down. It is on a lighting column. It is connected into the live mains, so it doesn't need recharging. It is actually doing its job by slowing traffic down, because when it shows the speeding, it flashes up and they do actually slow down. And I would be tempted to leave that as it is, not bother with it. Don't take it down and don't put a battery one up. Just leave the thing up there doing its own thing and concentrate on putting them somewhere else rather than there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we agreed with that.
Yeah.
Sensible.
I did put that location on the list just in case anyway, but they said the license covers all the ones that we wanted anyway.
Do you have the?
Yes, so
Okay.
the locations in Colne, we've got 2 on Byron Road, which are just west of Horsefield Close. So yeah, just past the Morris Dancers and just on there. There's one on Langroyd Road, which is for southbound traffic towards the North Valley. There's one on Shore Street, which is heading towards Bridge Street and near Duke Street. There's 2 on Red Lane.
Sorry, you just said Bridge Street towards Duke Street.
Bridge Street near Duke Street.
Yeah, it's nowhere near.
Is it now? This was taken
It's heading
from,
towards Bridge
Heading
Street,
towards
but
the
it's at the
traffic.
bottom of Duke Street.
Traffic.
I see. Right, that's okay. I
That's
know
where
where
the
I am
path
now.
comes down.
yeah, we've got 2 on Red Lane. One heading towards Langroyd Road near Sacred Heart School. And the others facing, the other side facing traffic heading towards Landlord Road opposite Brintor. I don't, is that,
Yeah,
you know where that
house.
is, yeah. 2 on Skipton Road. One's outside 129 Skipton Road facing northbound towards Fallridge. And the other one is opposite 161 Skipton Road near King George Play area. And then there's the one on Birtwhistle Avenue. I'm guessing we want to test in Cole. There are some in Trawden, Lancashire Bridge and Fallridge as well.
Jeannie, did you mention one on Castle Road? Because
No,
I'm sure there's one on Castle Road.
One on Skipton Road as well. Yeah, like that.
I'm sure there's one on Castle Road somewhere near roundabout where you would sort of walk down Brown Hill Lane. I'm sure.
There is definitely.
I can.
It's still there, can't we use it?
Well, I'm thinking so. They've said any as long as they're not damaged, any of the brackets that are still there. We seem to have 2 different types of brackets. One was the specific bracket for the devices that we're getting. The other one can be easily adapted for it just by drilling a hole somewhere. So they have said that we can use them. Do you know if the plates still there?
I will photograph them. I'll try to photograph them this week and I'll send them to you.
Okay.
It's definitely one near my house. And they do pelt there because they think it's foot down, but it's actually 30 miles an hour. And there is one, but I'm not quite sure where it is. It's above Venables Avenue.
That'll be on the Castle Road, is that not?
It's on Castle Road, yeah. Yeah.
But yes, if I can get pictures, that would be good. I can add them to the list and send them over.
Thank you.
I think it would be useful to share the list with the parish councils.
Yes, yeah, I can do that.
Okay, are we finished on that item? Yeah, we know what we're doing.
Do we want to choose any locations, or do we want to delegate that to anybody? Or
I think quite a lot of people have said it's needed on Keighley Road, I think. Did they not say?
we don't have any on Keighley Road.
Yeah.
We did have some, but they're not there. They used to have some there, but they've obviously either been taken down or damaged or
The one on Shore Street, can we turn around?
no, I don't think so. Probably not without damaging it.
Or then you crash outside the door. Find out and eat them up.
It's a 20 mile an hour on Shore Street, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought the road was the issue.
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, we can add extra plates going forward. So it's just that these are the ones that we can use now. It does take, if you want existing plates, etc. It does. I think there's a 10-week lead time. You have to get the columns tested, and then you have to pay for the back plates and everything else. Yeah.
David, did you want to speak? Sorry.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, those that can remember this debate in the last council meeting, Councillor Butterworth was very, very strong. And none of these, we went on for nearly 40 minutes and he was looking for, obviously, a Pacific racetrack round the town. And none of these are in the position. So at least we need to tell Councillor Butterworth that in the long term, we can get to where he is. But if we're technically only going to put 2, we're not ignoring what he wanted. We listened to what he was saying. But unfortunately, there are not one of these anywhere near that will help him solve his problem.
Not yet.
Sarah.
We held a meeting with the parishes. Alice was there, she'll remember it. And we mapped all the wished for places. So after the camera that's at Lancashire Bridge, extra spaces on Shore Street, whatever, we looked at there is a circuit that's sort of Lancashire Bridge, Skipton Old Road, Keighley Road. So we looked at circuits. So David's got because he mapped them, a sort of wish list. So what we need to do is obviously look at the viability of over time,
Yeah.
or unless they'll do as a bulk deal, LCC coming in
Mhm.
and seeing how feasible they are. And I think we start with what we've got and we move on.
The whole idea was to find out what we have initially, and then match that to what we wanted, and then see where the gaps are, and obviously then you can cost it and time it sort of accordingly, to get additional ones put in if we can.
Okay.
Because there's no point just having them in areas where we don't have a problem.
No.
So you need to make sure they are in the right places.
Alice,
I might have missed this, but how much approximately is each plate? So,
I think the plates were something like £75 each.
Oh,
The only thing is they have to go through a whole area assessment, which Lancashire County Council have to do initially.
and we have to pay for that?
Yes, we have to pay for that. And then they do, if there's no lighting column that you can use near there, then you have to put bespoke columns in, and it's all, yeah, it's a lot of paperwork and a long drawn out process, I think.
I got quite excited when you said it was only £75.
Well, yeah,
That's
the
not
prices aren't that bad. I think it's mainly, I mean, I don't even know how much a site assessment would be, but I don't think that we're looking at it's just the time as well. That but if we can get them where we want them, then surely it's worth waiting for them to do that.
It might be worth asking for a day rate rather than a per column. Price.
It is just per, yeah, that's how they do it. And they did say that the prices may be going up in April as well.
right. Well, but we know where we've got all this information. We know what we're doing. We're going to have a wish list and extra if we ever get any more. Okay. Are we happy with that? Yeah. Item 12 is town and parish council elections. That's you, Gina.
Yeah.
I think.
Hold on, let me. So this item was initially just to tell you that obviously there are nomination papers at the town hall, Colne Town Hall. I actually have some for anyone who requires them. I've also got a copy of the electoral roll if anybody requires it for their ward.
A paper copy.
It's I've got a spreadsheet,
Right.
but obviously I will single it out to the wards so that you just have the information for the ward that you need. But however, we have had a slight issue, and there has been some confusion over wards and ward boundaries because there have been changes. Now, we thought it was part of the community review that was sent through, where we actually did go to full council and we said that we were happy with how it was and wanted to stay with the status quo, not realising at that point that the status quo wasn't what we thought it was, and it had been changed before by the government boundary review. Now, I have asked Pendle if there was any consultation on this because I can't find anything. I haven't had a response back yet. But I think, David, you said that Barnoldswick had changed theirs back.
They had some amendments made to their ward boundaries. About they ended up in the same number of houses to be able to use where the boundaries of the wards were. We were all of the mind that we thought it was the status quo was to leave it as it was, which it wasn't. Status quo was leaving it as the government office had been mindful to change it to what they thought was best for everyone. So we didn't object to it. So we've got the new status quo, which is not what we wanted, which has mainly meant that Horsefield has disappeared. There's a new central ward, which is 2 members. The ward that Mark was representative for has gone.
That was a mad ward.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And your ward has become quite a bit bigger,
Right.
probably 3 times as big in area, but still the same 2 ward members. And Varvry Bridge has ended up with 7 councillors,
Yes, it doesn't.
which is
make
not
much
what we
sense,
wanted, but unfortunately, at this late day, it's what we've got.
Yeah. So in Waterside split into 2.
Yes.
Well, it
has,
was, but
it's-
it was,
Yeah, but there's a 4-member ward and a 2-member ward now, which is 6 altogether for Waterside, whereas it was 5 before.
East was 2 before, but there's an extra one for West,
Mm.
an extra seat in West or South West than there were before.
no, I think there was 1 in East. Because that was Pat.
But it's 2 now.
There's
There was 1 in East and 4
in
in
the other one.
In West.
West or Waterside or whatever it was called. And there's now 2 in East and 4 in West.
Are you able to share the ward boundaries with us so we can see?
I haven't actually got a map. I've got lists of streets. That
I-
is.
I can send a map
Yes,
to
you send it to me.
I
then
can send you a link to a map and then you can
I
send it
forward
round.
Yes. if you
I
can do
printed
that.
it and you can't tell. It's so small, you can't tell. You know, just, but yeah.
The answer to the question that somebody asked, were we consulted, is no, we
I don't
weren't.
think we've done
Not, we weren't consulted before the lot went in. We were consulted on were we happy with the boundaries. But the boundaries we were working off were the.
No, we don't know what was said, but
Yeah, nothing was changed in the community governance review, but it was the local government boundary review apparently that was done in 2019.
it was done, wasn't it? There was, these elections were May 2019, and then just after that, they changed them. They had this new government thing, and it was a suggestion, and that just ended up becoming what everybody had decided rather than a suggestion, because we didn't realise it had come so quickly. Yes, David?
Chairman, can I ask a question? Gina can say no if she wishes. If I email Gina a file now to the admin email address, would she allow Nathan to print some A3 copies of the map out prior to us finishing the meeting tonight?
Yeah,
Because that is an option if you want.
Yeah.
If I send a file to Gina, Nathan could print some A3 copies out to give out if you want, because Sarah was saying she wanted a map, obviously. And I think a few other people could do with one as well.
It needs to be that big because you can't see it on
If it
A4.
were A3, you've a chance, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll email you a file.
Okay, shall we go on? Yeah. Item 13 is the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. It's Gina again.
it's Nathan's actually giving this a special day.
So all the operational elements for the Blues Festival are now booked and or been submitted. So the first aid's been booked, traffic management, the road closure's gone in with the traffic management, which has now been approved. We're just waiting for the actual legal document from Pendle Borough Council. The security for the festival, we did have it booked, but then they've decided to increase their price by 14%. So we are now on the search for a new security company, as it it is a big increase.
It took it over the value where we now have to get alternative quotes. So
The waste management for the festival, it's gone up. We negotiated with Pendlebury Council and managed to get it reduced from what their original quote was, but it's booked. The marketing and PR, there's little bits ongoing at the moment with adverts in Northern Life, Luke Publishing, Colne Life, the National Festival magazine, plus various other festival magazines that are out there. We've got the contracts back from the Hippodrome and the Exchange Project, which is the new venue for this year. So we've got them back and they have been signed. The PA and backline has now been booked for both venues. We are using a different PA company from last year, and we're saving £5,000 by doing so. Backline we're saving £2,000 compared to last year as well. Wristbands have been ordered. The town hall bar, everything's been arranged for that. So the actual bar kit for the draft has been put in. The draft kegs have been ordered. We've got the bar staff and we've got the bands being arranged back on Blue Society. The toilets and barriers have been booked, and we've got additional toilets near the Muni, just because we felt there were a gap in between Queen Street and the town hall, which were the nearest ones. The catering tenders, we've had quite a few return, and we have now allocated 4 pitches, which is bringing £5,000 in for the festival. There's 1 pitch remaining that's gone back out for tender. We've increased the funfair rent, which they're happy with, and we've sent the invoice over. And we've also negotiated with Barnfield, who are the festival sponsor, and we have increased their sponsorship package as well. The pin badges have been approved by the town clerk, myself, and they have now been ordered, and they'll be a lot better than last year's badges. And T-shirts, we've sent back some amendments just to make them a bit more eye-catcher, make them stand out a little bit more, but we should have that back and get them ordered by the end of this week. And the hop-on, hop-off bus that we did last year, we've got that booked, saving £800 in comparison to last year, because the driver that drove it last year actually owns a minibus company, so he said he'll use his own, and we're saving £800 by doing that. Good. We've got quite a bit of the street entertainment books. We've got the face painters both days. We've got Elton Wrong, Musical Roof. We've got Blues Brothers Stilt Walkers, which they're going to hand out balloons with the Great British Rhythm and Blues logo on and Barnfield logo on to the children, which they've been delivered this week. In regards to ticket sales, we've had 142 tickets sold and 33 camping pictures sold. That's it for the festival so far.
Can I ask? Oh, Kevin.
I know probably not the right time now, but we were talking about caterers. And I distinctly remember that we said that this year we would specify to the caterers that they use recyclable materials.
So in the catering document, it was put in that it is a preferred material of catering tray, and it went out. Whether they use them or not, one of them has said they will be doing. The others haven't commented on it, but we did put it in the tender. It would be a preferred method or preferred material for the trays instead of the polystyrene ones.
I thought we said that it would be a requirement, but hey ho, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. If there are any leaflets being given out, I think this was mentioned at the last events committee, that we maybe have a list of our eateries in town where people can go, maybe on a map or just on another flyer, you know. Not everybody knows, so yeah, thank you.
Yes, Alice.
Yes, I am a little bit concerned about the sustainability of the event. I really thought that we had decided that we wouldn't have any polystyrene or any of plastic forks or spoons or any of that. And obviously, if it's just preferred, then these things can just creep in. Do we actually have the materials that they are going to be using on file so that we can just see what we're going to be up against, the litter pickers? And
I can ask the successful tenderers what they will be using. When we looked at obviously the catering trays that they use, for a polystyrene one compared to a biodegradable eco-friendly one, they were 3 times the price, which is why we said it was preferred, just because obviously we would struggle to get caterers in with obviously the cost of everything going up as it is.
I know that there is obviously a cost, but we are in a climate emergency, and sometimes we just have to say no.
If more people use these products, there'd be mass manufacture, they'd be cheaper, relatively speaking. I would like to see next year this town council leading on this. And you know, Alice rightly made the point last year, well remembered, because you gave us a blitzkrieg of information that was all very impressive. And I just think we need to be a bit firmer for Cone.
Yeah. There's no way we can go back to the people who attended. No. Okay, I've got 2 questions because we haven't had a Blues working group, have we? So, and I'm sorry about this. Marketing. I know last year they kept on at you. Well, we should be doing this. We have to do this. And the cost got ridiculous that we ended up paying, and we do need marketing, but. Can we just say, wait till after Easter and then we'll do a big push rather than they keep saying every week, we need to do this more, we need to do that. Because last year we didn't even start, did we, till after Easter, and we still managed to, these companies, they want, they keep every week saying we want to spend more and more, don't they?
So Scott Dawson, the advertisement company, they've actually been quite laid back. They've just been doing bits on social media in regards to the lineup. They've not actually approached us and said, you need to get this, we need to do this. I think they're holding back until a couple of months' time to do a big push with like banners and other marketing materials. The adverts that we've got in like magazines, they've only been done now just because they get printed in May and they'll be there for the full festival season. But so far, Scott Dawson, I think they are holding back until a couple of months' time to do big pushes.
Well, until we have the lineup, because we've had drip, and until people see the full lineup, they might not buy the ticket. So, we need to, be doing more publicity when that's out, don't we? Really?
Yeah, well, at the minute they are just announcing one act every couple of days. We have got the full lineup poster because it has now been approved by one of the headliners. But I think they want to keep putting out one artist every couple of days and then the full festival lineup.
And when's that likely to be?
Can I suggest that this ought to be discussed at the Blues Festival Working Group Committee, which is a week yesterday. Just a thought.
I have another question there. Sorry about this. I'll repeat it at that meeting if you like. The PA system is a lot cheaper. I just wanted some assurance that the sound system will be as good, because if you're paying £100 for a ticket, you want it to be able to be as professional as can.
So we spoke with Simon from Colne Blues Society and we sent over previous year's specs for the PA, which is then, once he agreed that that was more than enough power in those systems, we then went out for the quotes. The company that has been awarded the work that weekend, they do festivals all over the UK. They work with a lot of councils in Lancashire, more towards Chorley, Preston way. And the system they're putting in is bigger than what we actually wanted on the spec. So it will be a really good system.
That's fine.
That'll be used that weekend.
Thank you. And Jonathan first.
Has the Taiwan been booked?
I can confirm the Taiwan have been awarded a pitch.
Do you want to say something, Kevin? No?
Yeah, I'm just, an email came out asking for volunteers a few weeks ago. The problem is that I will volunteer again this year, and we filled in the form already, but we haven't received any acknowledgement. Now, last year, the same thing happened, and then we found out we weren't even on the list. So it would be good if they would acknowledge that, okay, thanks, we have received your request.
No,
That's
at least
right.
you know it's got through here.
I'm not sure it got through or not. I think the last time the person was on holiday for 2 weeks and they hadn't read the emails.
I will check with the clerical officer in the morning and make sure she's sent acknowledgements out to the volunteers that have responded. We have contacted the colleges, the universities and the volunteer list. We've not had a response from, again, just as a second call for volunteers for that weekend. But I'll make sure you get an acknowledgement.
Okay, that item 14, Cole Neighbourhood Plan. The chairman, which is Sarah, that's you.
It wasn't a very happy position for me on Wednesday. I'll go as far as to say it was one of the most unpleasant days of my life. And I'd like to really thank Gina for her hard work, preparing for the day. I kept saying, we got these documents, we got these documents. And I'd like to thank the people that came, the councillors that came. There were some people in the town who said they'd come for an hour and they were still there at 5:30. They actually closed their businesses, Swanky's Upholstery, Live Like the Boy, they actually closed their businesses and stayed all day, probably because they saw me up against it. So essentially I was sitting where Glenda's sitting, and there were 2 of us in the morning session against 4 Pendle Borough Council officers that swapped in and out, and 2 members of a company called, well, representing a company called Little Cloud, and they're Maddox Consulting. And I thought the examiner was excellent, very sort of calm, ordered chap, everything that you'd want to see. He had supersized post-it notes. He went through all the elements that were in dispute and asked the questions in the order that he needed to ask them in. There were an awful lot of documents to consider. There was a lot that came into play. There were things that we weren't expecting. We still had an answer, didn't we, Gina? We are still now responding to things. I don't know whether you've heard from the second.
Yes, it's gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, we're not responding to things. We've responded. So we were asked for extra information. We provided the extra information about, I will tell you one of them because it's in the public domain, I'm allowed to say. So the chap that was sitting here was very, very confident. He made assertions that weren't true, which is really frustrating when you can't just interrupt and you want to say. So he said things like, the Bunkers Hill site can only have 10 houses. 8 houses? 10 houses? 10 houses. And I knew it was 34, but you can't just put your hand up and go, it's 34. You have to wait your turn to get it in. And he also made an assertion that nobody at all would want to develop one of the sites that we have in the South Valley, which we know is owned by the co-op. We contacted the co-op said that they were happy to sell for development. We knew that, but he made this assertion that we didn't know who it was and that they wouldn't be prepared to do anything. So I called Gina over, she had a little file, she explained, etc. And then Gina rang me on Monday and said, bad news. And I held on to the Newell Post. I thought, oh no, what's this bad news? And the co-op sold the land. to Arcadian Developments Limited. So we've contacted them and they are very interested in the site and they have written a letter of support. So that sort of kiboshes some of the argument. More fundamentally, the chap that was sitting here from Maddox essentially said the plan should fail. So this is actually a high stakes game. We've spent 6 years on this and he said it should fail. It doesn't meet the basic conditions. Obviously, if he's right, that is devastating. It's utterly devastating. He said it should fail for quite a few reasons, didn't he, Gina? He said it should fail because we'd chosen housing sites that weren't sustainable and therefore didn't contribute to the Pendle total. He said it should fail because we'd chosen local green spaces that were too big, essentially too big, but it was difficult to get to the bottom of that, wasn't it? There was a lot of cross-questioning about what his main objection was. I think he was allowed a lot of space to present his argument, which I think is probably right, because it's our plan and it's held up there for people to put stones at it, I suppose, and that happens. So that is the test. So the worst case scenario is that the examiner feels that it didn't meet the basic conditions and the whole plan fails. And we've got to decide then whether we say, never mind, and pick ourselves up and do it again. I like to think, and I'm touching wood, that that is unlikely. I'd like to think that. You're touching wood too, all touching wood. We'd like to think that that's unlikely. With regard to the afternoon, I was joined by Lidget and Beyond, and that was nice to have some other people on that side of the table. Essentially, 8 of our local green spaces, they believe, are too large. Now, I really disagree with them. Now, you could say, oh, you would say that, wouldn't you? But there are loads of neighbourhood plans with 12 hectares or more. In fact, it's a sort of normal distribution curve, but if you look at all the local green spaces, 3.5% of all local green spaces, which is a significant number, are over 10 hectares. And it's proportionate to the settlement it serves. Nearly all neighbourhood plans are little villages. So this is one of the biggest ones. So it stands to reason that if a village can be allowed one 12-hectare site, we could be allowed a small handful, including Alkincoats, of larger sites. I think there's a lot of examples. We'd laid that out in our response to, he didn't even ask for our argument on this, did he, Gina? The whole argument was what this chap had to say, because we'd laid out our argument, so we didn't give it. So I genuinely feel that the local green spaces, we've proved our point. Obviously, that's irrelevant if the whole plan fails, but I think we've proved our point. And we will know about this before Easter. So he will send us a document for just checking facts. Then it's not for debate, it's just for typos or
Place
So-
names being wrong.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. So we'll absolutely know before Easter which way it's going. You don't get into any kind of argument at this point. You don't say, oh, I don't agree with paragraph 6 or something. You just have to accept it. So it could be that he says the plan goes forward, but without our green spaces. That would be the second worst place scenario, wouldn't it, really? Or the plan goes forward, but without some of our development sites. But if it still meets the basic conditions, then actually we don't care. That's not a thing to us. We don't care if he doesn't include all our development sites, as long as it meets the basic conditions. Or it could be that the plan goes forward with our development sites and with our local green spaces, and with some little tweaks, some of which we've accepted. And obviously, from our perspective, that's the best case scenario. And we just don't know which it's going to be. We've added all the information that we've been asked for, and we've had a little gift as well, because there was a bit of an argument where Mr. Morgan Highland mined a seam with regard to the upper rough. So in 2006, there was a local plan that Pendle did. I'm sure David will remember this. It's before my time. There was a local plan in 2006, and the idea was it was meant to last till 2016. And it was about sites protected for development. And one of the sites that was protected for development then was the whole Rough. And they made an assertion that this policy was still an actual policy. And he made this assertion, and therefore, obviously, something that's protected for development in no way could be a local green space. I was bursting over there because I remembered that this came up at the appeal for the Rough, and the inspector considered it at that appeal and said it was timed out because it finished in 2016. I was absolutely bursting. I had my hand up, and the examiner said, "I don't want to hear from you because this is an argument. This is a policy of Pendle Council. It's for Pendle Council to respond about their policies." Fair enough. But I was just absolutely convinced that it was timed out, and they released it yesterday, didn't they? So there's like a whole page of A4 all about this thing. I should have just read the bottom really, but I didn't. I read the whole thing. And then the final sort of sentence or so says, but at the appeal, the inspector timed it out, and therefore it ceased to exist in 2016. So that was actually quite a big, it was quite a big thing. There were things that came up that we just didn't know were going to come up. I think that's true to say. It wasn't like I thought it was going to be. Was it? No,
I didn't know what to expect.
I hauled Gina into the spotlight at one stage. So just needed somebody. Dorothy came and sat next to me at one stage.
Well, that was a massive mistake on my part. I'll sit next to Sarah. I'm sure that everybody was glaring at us.
It was funny.
What the hell is she doing there? Can I just jump in here? I just want to say to Sarah, I'm not surprised that she says that was probably one of the worst days in her life. I think everybody in this room was tense, and you really did hold yourself together and hold it all together, and you did a great job.
And Pendle Council, when he asked about whether it had timed out, they didn't know, didn't they? They were asking whether, because they were saying it hadn't, didn't they?
They were saying it was a save policy, and they had paperwork that said it was, and I just thought, oh.
They were like whispering between themselves.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So, I think we can say I wrote down all the things I wanted to get out, and I got 90% of it, which is probably, given that we were very confined, weren't we? Because most of the emphasis was on this guy here. I think that's probably as good as I could do. So it's not a question of, I'm full of regret. We tried our best, and all we can do now is wait and see. So I think as soon as we've got it, Gina, will you send it out to, if we're allowed to?
Yeah.
It might not be that we're allowed to.
I will check, obviously.
Check first, but as soon as we can send it out to people, I think we absolutely want to. Before
He
Easter.
said he would try to get it to us before Easter.
You said 2 weeks, didn't you? 2 weeks.
Pardon?
I could send him some Easter cards. And,
Oh, right.
I mean, I sat through it in the afternoon. Ended up with a sore back and a sore head from banging it on the panelling. I thought that the inspector seemed more forgiving to our side, for want of a phrase, but at the same time letting them more than I think Pendle were quite restrained, or more restrained than they could have been, but
they changed from the morning to the afternoon, would you say, Gina?
Yeah.
They were a lot kinder in the afternoon than they were in the morning.
I think it was ultimately because Marks were saying that it doesn't meet any of, so it needs to fail. And I think maybe they took pity on us and said, well, no, it doesn't need to fail. It just needs.
Their whole argument was that they'd looked at 7 neighbourhood plans, one in Cornwall, one in Sefton, Padstow.
Crosby.
They'd looked at Trawden, they'd looked at Barrowford, and they'd said, these are similar places. So, yeah, and we've got an enormous beach. Anyway.
They're all coming in next week. All these new cafes that you've seen, Swickstein 12 or whatever he's up to.
So the similar places, which was the research, that none of them had more than an 8-hectare site. So from their research, they had decided that 8 hectares was the maximum it could be. And the examiner looked at him and said, right, okay, but there were 1,500 made neighbourhood plans in the UK. Did you not think about looking at some more? And David whispered to me, he's on a day rate. You know, it's down to one independent person. They've weighed the evidence. This chap put forward the best that he could do. He was vehement. His favourite word of the day, which I'm going to get into everything now, is unequivocally. Everything was unequivocal. He was unequivocal that our plan was unequivocally failing. So
it was an extensive tract of
expansive. Extensive tract of land. It was very interesting that I can't remember all the individual numbers of people in the tech, but in all the ones he quoted, if you added all the populations up, they still didn't get to 20,000 or 18,000, whatever Corn is now. It depends how deep Little Cloud's pockets are, I think, because if the inspector says, yeah, great, carry on, but it's whether they then say, oh, we still want to have a judicial review because we think 8 hectares is a thing and you didn't take it fully into account. It's the
judicial review, but that'll cost them a lot of
money.
But the judicial review is only about the process. It's not about the thing. So actually that won't be opened again. What they'd look at is, did that man sitting there do something incorrectly? And I think that's why he was so incredibly punctilious, because he knew that he had to have everything looked at and monitored. You know, well, we wanted to butt in because we knew the answer to Local Plan Replacement 3A 2006. He would not let us speak. He was doing everything correctly. So that's the only reason you can have a judicial review, is if the process is wrong. And I can't see anything wrong with that process.
He was very good on making the point that, unlike a planning appeal where you can go off case law, for want of a phrase, inspectors on local plan, on neighbourhood plans, are only consistent within themselves. So any that he's done will be consistent with last Wednesday, and any he does, if he's up to doing any more this year, depends how much he gets paid, will be consistent with last Wednesday and so on, because they kept trying to say, no, in Octomocty's plan or wherever, so-and-so was thing, but he said, no, that it's not that, it's that each inspector is, and he said that a couple of times in the afternoon when I was banging my head on the...
Right, well, we can all keep our fingers crossed then, yeah? We did the best we could. And as I say, I thought we did good. Right, item 15 is planning. So I've only got 3 planning applications. Is there any extra ones? No, all right.
No.
So the first one's 23/0052HH0 9 Castle Court. So erection of first floor. No, I'm talking rubbish. This is This is wrong. This is not the ones. Yeah. Application number 23/0125/HH 0838 Old Road Cove. It's demolition of existing conservatory and the erection of a single-storey rear extension, and also the demolition and reconstruction of an existing garage.
It's the semi next to, it's the end semi next to the, well, it's not quite the triangle, but next to the where the footpath goes through.
I've asked some questions about this. It's curious because if this was presented to us and there hadn't been a garage before, we wouldn't pass it on the basis that it hasn't got a pit, it's in a conservation area, it hasn't got a pitched roof, and it's not set back from the house. However, what it's replacing isn't set back from the house and doesn't have a pitched roof. So I've just merely asked the question, what happens then? I don't know.
So what's the
It'll rain in.
consensus then? No comment?
Yeah, it's there's a comment somewhere in the thing, if I remember rightly, but I think it's maybe Tom Partridge or someone to say make sure they don't block the footpath when they're bringing materials in and storing them.
Do we want to mention that, or it's not a planning issue really, is it? Not a reason. What's the consensus? Yeah, no comment or no comment?
Well, if what's being there now is being knocked down, I can't see why you couldn't class it as demolishing what's in existence and building new, so I can't see why you couldn't at least ask for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe the comment is we would prefer to see a pitched roof.
Yeah, okay, got that, Gina. Yeah. The next one is 23/0145/HHO. It's 33 The Meadows. Single-storey side extension to form a store. Store.
House.
Yeah.
Is it like a lean-to shed?
They're already I forgot whether he's a builder or a joiner or something. I can't remember. But already there he keeps ladders and things behind a thing. I think he's just making something that it's a bit temporary into something a bit more substantial to make the thing more secure. Because, well, if you look at the plan on the left at the bottom, he makes there is generally something parked in front so that it's secure, double secure that way.
Well, what we're saying about that
I think it's no comment. It's okay. A very minor.
The last one,
and it's got a pitched roof.
The last one is LCC/2023/0006. It's Combe Primet Academy. It's some teaching blocks and alterations, etc.
No, is what's condition 16 and 17.
Variation of condition 16 and 17. Don't know. Will it be?
Oh, delivery times. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Presumably on there now is nothing before 7 a.m. or something like that, and nothing after. Quite how they're going to deliver during the day, particularly around 3 o'clock, I wouldn't know, because you can't get up any of those side streets. I think
so. It's nothing about the actual plans that have been.
No, I think it's the time. I'd be a bit loath to. What we don't know is how far they want to extend the time. And if it's too early, you know, there's going to be some disruption up and down there during the building. I don't think we should make it worse by extending the thing too much, but I'm afraid I don't know what
I
the
don't know what the times.
what the
were.
times
We can't make
are.
a judgment there, can we? Alice.
I was just going to say, I mean, there might be quite a large transport that's going up there to deliver things to the school. It is a residential area, and as Howard says, traffic there is horrendous at the moment. So until we know what they want to change it from to, it's very difficult to comment.
Can we ask for
Clarification?
for more clarification? What these conditions are? Conditions?
Find out, then I can send everyone an email.
Yeah. Okay.
Chairman, you'll have to ask for clarification of LCC because Pendle won't have it.
We might be struggling to get an answer there. Right. Item 16, correspondence received. We got any? Now, item 17 is any items anyone wants to appear in a future agenda. Yes.
I have something that may sound trivial and may make you all furious with me, but I was sort of pro our Fiesta clock when it started, and I'd be pro it in the blues, but I think that we need to just go back to a nice warm white or something like that, and perhaps we could have a debate about it in the next meeting.
Any other items for a future agenda? No? Okay, thank you. Well, the last item is date and time of next regular meeting, which will be Tuesday the 18th of April. Thank you, and thank you for your attendance.